This is a situation that a lot of you might be actually aware of, but for those of you that aren't, I think it's important to bring everybody up to speed on this case because it is an excellent example of what authoritarian governments do to detractors. Don't worry, I don't have the coof. Aung San Suu Kyi, ousted Myanmar leader, jailed for another 4 years. A court in Myanmar has sentenced ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi to 4 more years in prison in the latest of a series of trials, all of which I am sure were very fair and not just complete kangaroo courts. She was convicted for the illegal possession and import of walkie talkies and breaking COVID-19 rules because she's supposed to be under house arrest and she is not allowed to communicate with the outside world. And I imagine that's what she was using the walkie talkies for. Miss Suu Kyi was first convicted in December and given a reduced jail sentence of 2 years. She has been detained since the military coup last February and faces about a dozen charges, all of which she denies. I don't know if any of you seen the famous video of the girl doing a fitness TikTok while a military coup was happening behind her. Well, that was my Myanmar. She has. I've just read that part. Her trials have been widely condemned as unfair because they are. The charges in the latest case stem from when soldiers searched her house on the day of the coup by forces led by Army Chief General Min Aung Hlaing. I have no idea these bloody Mortal Kombat names. The devices they say they discovered are presumed to have been used by her security guards, resulting in a conviction widely viewed as no more than a tactic to justify detaining her. Yeah, they're looking for any and all excuses to basically just keep her under house arrest forever, or even better, in a prison. Monday's trial in the capital, Nay Pyi Taw, was closed to the media, of course it was, and Miss Suu Kyi's lawyers have been barred from communicating with the media and the public, obviously, to prevent them from exposing all of the corrupt shit that the government is trying to do in the courts. Last month, the Nobel laureate was found guilty of incitement of dissent and breaking COVID-19 rules in what was condemned as a sham trial by UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet. Oh, that's great. The UN condemned it. There we are. Problem solved. That's all they fucking do with human rights shit. We condemn in the strongest possible terms. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. So fucking useless. In response to Monday's sentencing, Human Rights Watch called the legal proceedings a courtroom circus of secret proceedings and bogus charges so that Aung San Suu Kyi will remain in prison indefinitely, which is correct. That is the government's plan. The statement by the group's Deputy Asia Director, Phil Robertson, also accused the military of securing convictions in a kangaroo court on the flimsiest politically motivated charges and said it was running roughshod over the human rights of everyone, ranging from Suu Kyi to the civil disobedience movement activists on the street. Anyone that dares to come out and protest, to free Suu Kyi, yeah, they get a baton over the head and then a water cannon to the face for their troubles. The military seizure of power in Myanmar, also called Burma, last February came months after Miss Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy won November 2020 general elections by a landslide. I mean, yeah, okay, it's for democracy, but nobody's perfect. The military alleged voter fraud in the victory. However, independent election observers have said the elections were largely free and fair. The coup triggered widespread demonstrations, and Myanmar's military has cracked down on pro democracy protesters, activists, and journalists. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of democracy, but it's what they're planning on replacing democracy with that I have a problem with. Miss Suu Kyi is one of more than 10,600 people to have been arrested by the junta since February, with at least 1,303 others killed in the demonstrations, according to the monitoring group Assistance Association for Political Prisoners. The latest sentence brings her total prison term so far to 6 years, but were she convicted of all the charges she faces, she could spend the rest of her life in detention, and that, again, that's the plan. The 76-year-old, who has not been seen in public since her house arrest, still faces several more serious charges of corruption, election fraud, and breaking the Official Secrets Act. They're basically, like, they're making up absolutely everything and just dreaming up all these charges just to completely screw her over. Whether she actually spends any time in jail depends on what the military wants to do with its most famous prisoner, the BBC's Jonathan Head says. The ruling junta still faces widespread opposition, parts of the country are now engulfed in armed conflict, and the economy is near collapse. Neighbouring countries are seeking a negotiated end to the conflict. So far, they have made little progress, but if they do, our correspondent says it is likely such talks would at some point have to involve Aung San Suu Kyi, who remains very popular. Basically, the military had a certain political leaning, and then because a leader came in who was pro-democracy and wasn't all about that widespread authoritarianism, which, let's face it, the Myanmar military enjoyed, they decided, nah, we're going to lose a lot of power if this bitch gets in, so hey-ho, military coup. Aung San Suu Kyi spent nearly 15 years in detention at the hands of the military between 1989 and 2010 and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her work to bring democracy to Myanmar. Her party, the National League for Democracy, won a landslide victory in 2015, but she was prevented from becoming president herself by rules excluding those with foreign national children from holding that office. She was widely regarded as the de facto ruler of the country because people voted for her, so even though the military went no, people says, well, hashtag still my president, like type shit. However, her reputation abroad was severely damaged by the way she handled the Rohingya crisis, which started in 2017. In 2019, that was when the Rohingya Muslims were all it was a genocide. It was a genocide. Yeah, call it what it is. In 2019, Miss Suu Kyi appeared at the UN International Court of Justice to defend her country against accusations of genocide. So, even though she was, I'm campaigning in favour of democracy and free and fair elections and one man, one vote and blah blah blah, but them Muslims, them Muslims. It's really funny. Yeah, well, I mean, it's no, but you know what I mean. You've got like the Nobel laureates and all that stuff, and like the UN and everything going, "Yay, democracy!" And then she starts exterminating Muslims, and everyone's like, "Oh, hold on now, wait." But yeah, however, even though genocides aside, maybe she was allowing the military to do that so they wouldn't come after her. Who knows? I'm not an expert in Myanmar politics. However, I just want to show that this is a good example of what authoritarian governments will do to dissidents. Now, you may not agree with the dissident, especially with some of the things that she's done. However, that does not make it just or make it right. Everyone has the right to a free trial, to a free and fair trial, and that is not what she's getting. The government is just basically making up a bunch of shit and then no doubt falsifying the evidence and then pinning it all on her so they can keep it. She's already really old. So basically, yeah, as long as we can get at least 5 years, she'll probably be dead by then, and then the military are going to remain in charge. And I guarantee you that when she passes away, there won't be elections. There definitely will not be elections. But I just think it's a great example of what governments will do to dissidents. Coming soon to a country near you.